Honestly, on the way here, I got an abortion. Last night, I got an abortion. You
Well,
gotta get them while they're hot.
get them while they're hot.
I guess.
Abortion here, old timey abortion.
There's a guy in Union Square. Yeah, they're starting to do pop-ups.
Pop abortions. Dude, I cornered the market actually the moment I saw it too. I fucking
You
went.
opened up a Florida abortion clinic?
No, I went and bought every Handmaid's Tale costume on Amazon. And then I relisted them for double the price and they're all sold out.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
It's
with
hustlers,
the books,
dude.
yeah.
It's Gary V fucking hustler mentality.
That's the thing.
over
You
here.
all sleeping. Danny sees an
You
abortion.
all sleeping and I'm taking advantage of women's rights being rolled back.
All of you guys, what you guys see when you see a school shooting, you say, oh, that's sad. What Danny sees is a stock market buying opportunity.
I go Jim Cramer goes, bye, bye, bye.
Yeah, you know what's going on. Dude, okay. I couldn't even watch the Met Gala because I was so fucking mad about this abortion stuff. How about this?
How many people were at Met Gala being like, fuck, I wish I dressed as an abortion.
Oh my God, if that was one day later, every person would be in a dying fetus outfit.
Dude, they all show up and they go, you're also wearing the fucking dress that says abortions for everybody with red paint on it? God damn.
They're all wearing, they keep the coat hangers in the outfit. Okay, what about this for the new movie? Road Trip?
Yeah.
It's Road Trip, I think, 3. I don't know if they had a second one. If they did,
I don't
this is
think they
number
had the
3.
second.
Okay,
Maybe they did.
So
but
this
like
is the
straight to
sequel.
DVD.
All the old cast. DJ Qualls. T Green's back in the mix.
Fuck yeah.
But it's a guy who his chick gets pregnant in a place where abortion's not legal, and he's got to get her across state lines before she changes her mind.
Ooh,
Right?
I like that.
You know how the guy, he had to get back to the thing, right? So
Yeah.
he's got the girl in the car, and then there's
Tom Green's the abortion doctor, by the way. He's the wacky abortion doctor.
yeah,
He goes down there to do the abortion and just like a rubber chicken comes into frame. He goes, squeaks it.
Yeah, he pulls out like a fake thing. It's like a hamster. He goes, what's this? She goes, what? He goes, I'm just messing with you. Here's the fetus.
I'm just messing with you.
What the hell?
Pulls out the shop vac. He goes, let's do this shit.
yeah, he's having like a comical sequence.
You know what's so funny, actually? You know, Corinne.
He's putting he's licking the fetus.
Rubbing his ass on the fetus. Or just rubbing his ass.
Yeah. My bum is on the fetus. My bum is on the fetus. So that's what he's doing.
He goes, mommy. It's like the sausages. There's just fetuses hung from playing the piano. Daddy, would you like some fetuses? Daddy, would you like some fetuses? And they're all just fucking...
That's what happens when you walk inside the place.
Tom Green's abortion hour.
Yeah, and his dad's the guy that thinks abortions are bad.
Yeah.
His dad's
God damn it, Tom. This is serious business.
yeah. So I'm thinking that, but you're in the car, right? And there's all the signs that are like abortion's murder. You know what I mean? No woman would ever have an abortion. So you've got to keep trying to distract her like video game style, where you go, hey, look at this. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, my thumb's falling off.
She goes, you know what? I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just keep it. And he goes, no. Eyes down on the game.
She's She's looking at the thing. You just swerve the car. every time she sees the thing, to me that was the funniest thing, was the idea of like the guy who really wants to get the abortion and all this stuff, right? So they go, oh, abortion might not be legal in some states or whatever, Roe v. Wade. And then the guy goes, no, he's crying his eyes out, and she's like, oh, you seem a little too upset about this.
What's the matter?
You're not really that into women's rights. You go, no, my life is over. This is the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity. And the girl goes, oh.
Whoa, easy.
I thot we talked about potentially having a baby. I thought that I would be able to convince you out of it. I was bluffing.
I'm not going to be able to get you to go to fucking New Jersey.
The guy that's way too mad about this.
Dude, I was listening to Christian radio.
Yeah, you were.
Because I was in the car. I rented a car and I was driving back, so I had 4 hours. So I'm going to listen to the fucking radio.
You love weird
radio
stations,
I love radio.
Eh?
Well, I just know. You know what? I was like, I want to know what everybody's take on the abortion.
You know what the funny part is? I was listening to on Low Value Mail. You do have a pretty good like old school AM radio style voice.
No, honestly, I'm like, that's what I'm going for.
Right,
is an AM radio show, right?
It's got it, yeah.
Yeah. So then I was just listening for some tips and stuff, and I just want to see. For one, a weird thing is I listened to NPR. It's all women. It was weird.
NPR.
Like, all women, and they're all like, abortion's the worst. But then I turned on the Christian conservative because they're all on the AM dial. One of the shows,
abortion's the best. You mean?
Yeah. Oh, abortion's the best. Yeah, sorry. And then the AM show, one of them was like this Christian show, and literally the opening music was like, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. They were so pumped. that abortions were illegal now, they were like celebrating. They were playing all this like fucking super like uplifting like celebration music. I was like, this is the best shit.
Do you know what's funny?
Because they don't have that in Canada. We don't have conservative, like, we have like one radio station's conservative.
I think a lot of the AM's conservative.
But like in Canada, it's like they're not like hardcore conservative. Here, they're like, I'm like, oh, these are like end of times are near. Like they're really.
And then this is the first time
and
they've
there's
said
10
that
of them.
end of times. We've actually changed it. End of times aren't near.
Yeah, I guess the end of times aren't that near.
It was making me laugh, the idea that pastors now are essentially, because they kind of do the same thing as podcasters in a lot of ways. They spend a week like prepping their thing, and then they come give their hour speech or whatever to the congregation or whatever, right? But it's funny now because the pastors probably have to get into the social media game, so they have to do the same shit as comedians. Like they have a guy doing their clips for them. Do you know what I mean? They got to be on TikTok.
The ones that want to be successful.
If you want to be a successful pastor, you got to be doing all the same shit comedians are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're just like, fuck, I just got it. It's like, because you know how so
he's
many
got to think
comedians
about what's going viral. He's like, we'll talk about that. And he's like, that's a little hack. I got to be on the.
Because so many comedians begrudge, they're like, fuck, I don't want to have to do any of this shit. I just want to like do.
I just want to do my shit. That guy's probably like, I just want to spread God's word. It's like, well,
talk
too
about
bad.
Jesus. And you go, all right, well, talk about it to fucking 12 people who show up every fucking Sunday afternoon.
Right? Yeah. But just the guy that is fucking way too pumped about this, and his girl goes, I was thinking I don't want to get an abortion. You go, you want to let Ben Shapiro win? You have two options right now. You let the Daily Wire win. Is that what you want? And you know what I mean? You're pulling up people. You're just forcing her to watch all the people she hates.
I mean, there's going to be some women who are like, we just need to have abortions just like to send the message.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Just like we just got to send the message that abortions are okay by having.
There's one guy right now that probably has some chick pregnant, and she's been calling him like, I'm pregnant and I'm going to keep it, this and that. And then this happened, and then she was out there protesting how great abortions are, and this guy's like, oh, so he's so happy that he becomes religious and then he's against abortions now. It's full circle.
Are you gonna go to fucking abortion protests and do some streeters?
No, I don't think so.
You don't got the guts?
I don't have the guts. I think I might do a sketch about it though.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm gonna do a streeter there. But I think I am gonna do a sketch about it, telling the girl, you need to go on sex strike, baby. So I pay the doctor off to be like, you go to the abortion doctor, and he's there, and he's like, you pay him to be like, you have an hour to decide because it's going to be done. And he keeps hitting the clock like tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, an hour before they win. You know what the one thing is, there's probably going to be, I know that all like conservatives are pumped right now on the line. There is going to be probably pretty serious blowback from this, where it's like California is going to do some wacky shit. Like it's going to be illegal till the kid's 95 pretty soon.
Yeah, I actually, because I can't actually get a beat on, because they're trying to figure out who leaked this, right? And some people are like conservative leaked it. Some people are like Democrats leaked it. I'm like, I don't really know. Like this could really go either way in terms of who this benefits. I don't really know politically who this benefits, because there's like an election coming up. I couldn't really quite get a beat on it.
I don't have a beat on that either.
No.
But I do have a beat on the fact that fucking necrophiliac is going to get added to the LGBTQIN pretty soon.
LGBTN?
The advertising in 2 years, because this is going to be like Captain Crunch coming out of the closet as a necrophiliac. And he's like, we need to, this is his, but they're still like very consent oriented. So they have to make sure the family's estate is consents before the corpse, you know what I mean? Before the corpse. Yeah. Has the thing. There's gonna be legitimately pedophiles fresh out of prison. They're gonna be arguing for, to remove the 100 meters away from kids stuff.
That's how it starts.
He's a pedophile, but not a monster. He's just looking. He can't look.
He's just got a wandering eye.
Oh, he's never act on it. He can't take a peek at the school. This is a cruel and unusual punishment. Teaching masturbation class to 1-year-olds.
Wait, did you say necrophiliac?
Yeah.
Like the dead bodies?
Dead body disposal.
Yeah.
Have to do it after your foes are killed. There's you know what this also changes a little bit? I think depending on what happens, some of those places like Austin are probably going to be, it's going to be a hit for them becoming like comedy hubs and stuff like that.
I mean, I know who this is not good for. White guys trying to be in entertainment. This is another hit for us.
Oh, it's going to be
I honestly saw that. I go,
Another fucking
fucking another thing that I have nothing to do with that's gonna 100% impact me. I've already given up on that whole thing.
I know.
Right? But like at the same time, you're like, if you're the type, like we know people who are.
You're gonna walk into a comedy club, a girl's just gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah, I mean, we know so many people who have not given up on that because they don't live in reality or they live in Canada or whatever. And then
if you were up for a job when this happened in entertainment,
like if you were up for a job in Canada and you're a white guy, you're like, you just took a hit. You're like, what did I do?
Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
Well,
they fucking like the United States Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade, and now like I don't get to work in comedy or whatever.
Do you remember the old school? Do you remember Tucker Max when he did the abortion clinic thing? That was like the old school pranks. So Tucker Carlson, or Tucker Max. It definitely wasn't Tucker Carlson. Tucker Max back in the day paid. This is when he was doing stuff with Ryan Holiday. He was like, he wrote that book about advertising for American Apparel and stuff. And they were doing all these wild publicity stunts, and he bought the name of an abortion wing.
Yeah. Oh, he named. Oh, I didn't know that.
He named it Tucker Max Abortion Wing, and then went outside, and it was a big publicity stunt or whatever, right? Because he banged so many chicks that he said that, right? It's funny to think that Ryan Holiday, that was kind of his start doing all that Tucker Max stuff, and now he exclusively talks about stoicism.
Yeah, he's like the stoicism guy.
Yeah.
The abortion pranks, my favorite ones were when the super religious guys would just firebomb an abortion clinic.
You like that one?
Just to
send
a wacky, funny message that hey. No.
Yeah. That's part of the road trip thing, is you have to get through those people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. The fucking protest.
You got to bring her into the abortion clinic in a hockey bag so she doesn't see any of that nonsense.
God hates fats people.
Yeah, exactly.
We
right.
Some new stuff.
Probably it is. This is a perfect time. This is probably the ultimate in, which kind of a throwback in comedy for everyone will be mad at you, because especially if you think about it right now, liberals are having a meltdown. Republicans are on sort of like a little bit of a moral high horse. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's
they go, we're not murderers.
They're saying you're murderers. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. So I was posting things that was getting like quote tweeted by liberals and Republicans getting mad at me. It was a little bit of a throwback to the old days.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, because there's the big thing where it's
that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, because people are like, well, you shouldn't be liberals would be like, you shouldn't be joking about this, even if you agree with us. And it's like, yeah, I know, I've got the message. This is none of my fight. You go, you're not allowed to talk about this, and be like, well, but then they always seem to retweet guys that agree with them. So it's like, what you mean is I can talk about this if I agree with you.
Yeah. The worst is the conservatives.
And I do it the way that you want to do it.
Because we have conservatives and they're like, yeah, we hate abortions, right? And I go, no.
Well, you have to choose between essentially no free speech and I hate jokes, or, no abortions, the kind of religious stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what that's the biggest one where people go. And I had this argument with a couple of people, because I've been, arguing with a few people, because I like to dabble in the argument. Well, there's that very much stuff where it's girls is like, well, you say it doesn't affect you, so you don't care, right? And first of all, I rarely get like really mad about anything, right? Like I try to live in like a comedy realm, right? And there's these people that we go, well, you're a dude, it doesn't affect you, and it's like, yeah, you live in Canada. It really doesn't affect you.
It really doesn't affect you.
Or you live in New York or LA. Like, this also doesn't affect you.
This really affects. It is weird because it affects I'm not going to say not that many people.
No, I know what you mean though, because most of the people a lot of the people that live in the places that it might affect agree with it.
They either agree with it or they have the means to just hop to the next stage.
Exactly.
It's just the poor people.
Right, because there is no scenario where if I did want to, like, had a scenario where fucking...
Dude, if you moved to Austin...
Impregnate your fucking 10 mistresses.
Yeah, but say you move to Austin, you do comedy, and they go, and you fucking have a situation, you go...
Yeah, I go, I'm fucked. Yeah.
Well, we're going to California. We're going on a fucking road trip, right?
I'll take you to Russia if I got to.
Yeah. Let's go to North Korea.
The rules are there.
Pyongyang. Fucking time.
So you are right. It affects, and that's the thing. It's like, so most of the people, and then they're saying, they're like, well, I care about other women. You know what I mean? You go, so why can a girl do that, but a guy can't? You
also, hello, but 2 of the fucking Supreme Court justices are women. 2 of them are like more than 2 of them.
No, it's obviously the women's. I think most of this stuff, which is why it's complicated, is like the most liberal arguments like kind of don't make sense. They're kind of just like constructed to.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not superly logically rigid.
They're not.
Because a lot of people, I saw a lot of things where, a bunch of just white men deciding, and you go, yeah, but it wasn't.
No.
It's like it wasn't white men. There was women.
And white
men
decided
black women. There was
put it
white
up in the first
women.
place.
There was fucking black men.
No, it is a little bit of a Groundhog Day thing watching, people get so mad and like at all the marches yelling and stuff. It was like a little bit of a 4-year throw.
You think we're going to see some people kind of scratching that fucking riot itch? The looting itch?
Dude, I think you're going to see a fucking insurrection.
Yeah.
And then you're going to also have to see Huffington Post watching, why some insurrections are actually pretty good.
You know who was super pumped? Tim Pool was so pumped because he goes, he's been calling for civil war forever, and he goes, this is it.
Oh, yeah? You think this is the
one?
one?
This is the Civil War.
That's another one that you've seen. The flipping, which, shows that no one actually cares about any of their real principles or whatever. But you watch a bunch of chicks that were posting, like, what was her name? Chelsea Manning and all these people that were posting, liberals need to start forming militias and get guns and stuff like this.
I saw that.
I thought you wanted them to get taken away.
Chelsea Manning leading a fucking militia.
Yeah, that's good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Dude, Motherboard, that was the good one. They posted basically saying, well, there's this off the market abortion drug you can use, and it's called like horse medicine. It was
real? Oh
my God, yeah.
Something about the yeah.
So it's basically misoprostol, and it's horse medicine, but it can also be used to induce abortion. And they're like, this is why it's good. And it's like this. It's a fucking bizarro timeline.
Oh yeah, Dave Smith had kind of the best take too, where he's just like, yeah, probably not good that you guys were all like, fucking my body, my choice, and you don't know what a woman was, all in the last like kind of 6 months.
Right.
Not a good time for the fucking pro-abortion people.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that because there's so many places where you could say my body, my choice, but then most people would agree like, okay, my body, my choice, but then a lot of people that probably are against abortion think heroin should be illegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people would say that kids can't transition. So really they're saying my body, my choice once you're 18 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or you can't drink till you're 21. Like what argument, my body, my choice argument could either make? And then obviously the other way, it's like, okay, I'm down for, my body, my choice, but no cigarettes. And then obviously what the Republicans think, which is why this whole thing, people are just arguing the other way.
Yeah.
They're arguing two different arguments, right? Because they're saying my body, my choice. And they're saying, well, obviously we're not talking about your body. We think it's the kid's autonomy or whatever, right?
Yeah. They think you're just like, it's a Louis C.K. joke. They're like, yeah, some people think it's what was it? Some people think it's
killing babies. Some people don't.
Yeah, and you're like, like you are killing a baby, but whatever. Just, you're fine with it.
No, I think that even when you were saying with the most people can do it, it's like that's how I think about a lot of laws. Where I guess I'm just like, yeah, I mean, you can make all the laws what you want. I'll figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? But I guess from the start, from the basic thing is, it seems like this thing sort of wasn't unconstitutional from the start, but there was enough judges that agreed that would hold it up. Is that the idea?
That's what it sounds
like. And then RBG kind of fucked them by dying during Trump.
Thanks.
But if she was a team player for them, she would have resigned under Obama, so they would get a new person.
Right.
But she said,
she had that fucking God complex. She thought she was going to live forever.
They had a God complex. She thought she was going to live
she
forever, but only the boys live forever.
She's walking down the street, sees all these people wearing fucking Notorious RGB shirts
and
or
she
whatever.
goes, I ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah, and I don't, it's one of those things where I'm not ever going to fucking get on the front lines and argue too hard about anything, even though that everyone's been yelling at me every which way that I need to fuck. Dude, the amount of people that is like, telling me I need to take a stand on this and that and this and that for the last, 5 to 10 years.
Funny because you've yet to do it once. You've yet to acquiesce. And they think that you're eventually going to be like, all right.
Yeah, here, let me stand up because this is, it matters to me or whatever, right? But the,
I mean, basically the only real thing would be like if comedy gets banned or something, you'd be like, okay, I found the thing where I'll.
Would I move?
Right.
Like if they, I mean, to be honest, yeah, probably. But I still wouldn't hold a picket sign. I can't.
No.
I can't imagine me holding a picket sign and being
that's
like,
not comedy.
Open
that's
up the
not
clubs.
A joke.
Even a
no, it would be a joke.
No, I try to dedicate my life to a life of service of being funny, and I really believe that.
I could never. Like,
that's what people don't realize about fucking being funny. It's a life of service that you've dedicated yourself to. It's kind of like the priest that he was like, he has the information where the guy confessed to him and he wants to solve a murder, but he's dedicated his life to this.
Yeah.
Because yes, you think I don't want to do that sometimes, but I've dedicated myself to this. I took an oath to the joke. But so my point was, there isn't a lot you could argue that's not every person, even if you agree, it's like, it's one of those things where people are going to be so crazy over the next little while that there's not much that I want to fucking...
No, I mean, all I want to do with this stuff is just inflame people.
That's why I sing. It's a good time for that.
Just to be inflammatory.
But isn't there something so funny about like liberals, like, because obviously it's one thing just like pissing off whatever, like, I'm the I'm offended crowd or whatever.
Yeah.
But isn't it funnier pissing them off when you actually agree with them on the issue?
Ah, 100%. Yeah, that's the best part.
Isn't it not fun? Like,
I know. Like, part of me is like the comedic mind sometimes is almost, you go like, yeah, you know what? I might become anti-abortion for like a couple minutes just to fucking piss people, even though I'm not at all.
Yeah.
But
well, my
it's the persona.
So my philosophy on it from the start, which that isn't like to not go too into the actual thing. Because I do think about this a lot anytime where people have the things. I always kind of was like, okay, the people are arguing two different things. I know one person's saying it's not a kid yet, but that article that doesn't really hold up. Where it's like that's the Louis C.K. thing you're saying, where it's like it is a little bit like it's if you think like, well, it's not a baby yet, well then how could you argue like we need to change the terms and all this stuff? Well, it's fine here, then it was there, so it's like, were you wrong before it was a baby then? So obviously, and then I kind of think about it if you go, okay, from the killing babies perspective, if you said, imagine this mother. And she had a baby that as soon as the baby was born, it was going to get tortured for life, right? And you essentially like mercy killed that kid or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was one. I think most people would agree that would have been the move. You know what I mean?
Sophie's choice, if you will.
It's Sophie's choice. So I think if you go by that, you'd automatically, unless there's a religious connotation, you would probably say that's the moral thing to do, right? And so that's just like an extreme case, right? But if I was to say, I don't think of human life as that valuable, and I think most people don't.
And that is a big crux of some people's argument, is they think that human life is the
specifically
ultimate,
valuable.
Specifically valuable. It's the ultimate thing.
But then it's
some
the
people
same
go,
thing.
it's not.
But then how could you, like, I guess then you're looking at greater good, but you're saying, hey, I'm going to go send people to war. I think most people would agree to send people to war, even though they think this, right?
Yeah.
So if you agree with that principle, then if you said, okay, well, what about having like a ton of babies that end up poor and are on welfare? Would that not be the greater good? Okay. So greater good argument, you're already into semantics.
Yeah.
But what I would say is if you were actually being real about when it's a child, I think consciousness to some degree would make sense of like, okay, when do we agree that like, you know, the mother can't just like kill her kid? I think from a point of view that I would say, I think it's consciousness, right?
Yeah.
But then you would say, back to that,
some
you
people
would say,
go heartbeat.
well, but then, okay. Exactly, right?
Which no conscious. And then there's a lot of people, the most fundamental of it, where they straight up go conception. Like the moment that sperm like fertilizes that or whatever egg, that's it. That's the point.
And for me, I kind of all of those things just see semantic arguments. If I was being like, in reality, you go, when's this a person? I guess once it's sort of like has its first like conscious thought or whatever, right?
Well,
to some degree.
Yes
then
and
you're
no,
like,
because
then you're like, you know, they say you're online as a human.
Yeah.
But
that's like 3 years old.
Well, but that's so I kind of do think that. But then you say, well, then by that logic, you could kill a kid when it's one. It's like, yeah, but like obviously that's going to be a hard sell.
Well, exactly.
You're not going to say you're not. And once there's a baby there, it's like I think you could like you have to just make reasonable. Like you got to pick some point.
Well, exactly. You have to pick some
and
point.
I think
for
there
sure.
is a point of like.
And the problem is that
I think the points people said were pretty reasonable for a while, and then they tried to start.
Well, they
pushing
tried.
it.
Yeah, they tried to be like, hey, why don't we go like heartbeat? And then some people were like, well, you know what, heartbeat seems fine, but why don't we just do like as long as it's in my womb? And then you go, well, yeah, but that's whatever 30 some odd weeks, and like there's kids who are born premature at 20 weeks who live normal lives,
right? So how could you argue if it wasn't alive and if it was? And I guess
and they go, well, as long as it's inside of me.
But that's when you start constructing arguments, probably like you can't say, well, yeah, but it wouldn't have lived without the mother or something like that.
Right.
And then they go, yeah, but we had to like rig up this apparatus to keep it alive where it actually wouldn't have been able to.
I mean, the main thing is that everybody wants this to be such a binary simple.
It's not that simple.
And it's like it's the least simple.
And then there's also the sort of overarching thing of like, what society do you want to live in and how do you design that? And it's like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I get why people think both of those things and why it's like you can have your brain.
I understand.
Believe it.
Yeah, I understand all both arguments 100%.
And also there is something to say with the states' rights thing, I guess, where it's like, okay, well, maybe that was the whole purpose of the country. And like,
again,
people,
you know, it's
you
like
can live with that. They can decide in their states, and it's like, yeah, you can move and
people change their minds about this stuff too. That's one thing I've realized like in the past is like people really are like, yeah, I thought this, and then my girlfriend got pregnant and I wanted to keep it,
and I looked at her and she was fucking pissing me off.
No, it's like I wanted to keep it and she didn't.
Oh, that's one of the.
A guy called in last night. He's like, I wanted it, she didn't.
Well, that's obviously.
And he's like, there's no fucking way you're getting an abortion. Like, he's like, I don't care, give it up, or like just give it to me. I don't care.
Yeah, you're not doing it.
You're not doing it. That's my kid.
Did they have it?
Yeah, and
And then-
it's just good now.
That'd be fun. Every day you're like with that kid and she's trying to tell him what to do and you're like, what are you
No,
trying to kill
they're
him?
not together.
No. But she's like, well, my mom wants this. You're like, oh, well, your mom tried to kill you. So
Hey, your mom wanted to literally fucking execute you in the womb. So
yeah, your mom literally found out you were pregnant and then went and bought a guillotine outfit.
yeah, it's a weird one.
So that's going to be interesting to watch fucking this unfold. Or it won't. Or it'll kind of nothing will happen.
Yeah, I'm sure people in the fucking Ukraine are not pumped about this either. They go, hey, can we get back on us?
They're 4 issues
Hello,
ago.
we're regular people dying right now.
Yeah, they're 9 issues ago.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing how that just kind of was like, yeah, best of luck with that. You got our attention. You got our attention for like the maximum that you can hold America's attention, which is like a season of American Idol or some shit. And then they're just like, yeah.
Well, it's sort of
not
you
even
know,
a season.
the ultimate one to go back to the first thing, which I always wanted to. Where are they now? The original, where it was like, there's these children that are being murdered and enslaved and all this stuff. Coney. And then you go,
Coney.
and then, well, I was kind of doing a joke about that. It's like, remember when there was real problems? They're like, hey, there's these kids like being sex trafficked and murdered. And everyone was like, oh my God. And then they were just like, that was the old issues. And then it turned into, we need more Asian movie stars. And then, you know, it needs to be James Wong, not James Bond. And then all the kids that were like getting sex trafficked and murdered were like, hey, we're still here.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll prevent your murders when the government pays for a man to transition to a woman to get boobs. How about that?
Yeah, it is crazy. Just the attention span for stuff that, like, I honestly think, like, if there was,
I mean, I feel like that don't you, even on a personal level, sometimes you go, like, let's say you have a relative or whatever that's like going through like a bad time or whatever. You're just like, for 2 weeks, everyone's like, oh, what can we do? And this and that. And it's like, okay, can we get you money? Can we get you into like a facility? And then it's maybe the second
some
time
point you have to move on.
And at some point you're just like, yeah, dude, we care about Ukraine now.
Waving the flags. Sorry.
Thank you for watching that clip, supporting the channel. If you like The Boyscast, there's a new episode every week at patreon.com/TheBoyscast.
That's patreon.com/TheBoyscast.